Hello everyone, thank you for watching. We'd like to start fiscal year 22 Toyota Foundation online debriefing sessions of the projects from the grant program, Migrants in Japanese Society. Today will be the second session, Employment Support and Human Resource Development.
になります。
Many asylum seekers and refugees come to Japan without any choice. They have difficulties preparing in advance or learn Japanese language. While living in Japan as applicants of refugee status, they are challenged with Japanese language proficiency and difficulties finding a job making use of their careers in their home countries. Meanwhile, when we focus on what occupation they used to have in their home countries prior to coming over to Japan, just to mention they worked as engineers, civil engineers, traditional dance teachers, entrepreneurs, or worked for pharmaceutical companies, medical doctors, ministerial secretaries, and NGO staffs to bring about changes to the society. Many people with attractive and very specialized skills are coming as refugees. It is striking that talented people skilled in their job are coming to Japan as refugees. In the previous presentation, a story of a person living in Japan for 17 years but has yet to find a job of his or her choice was shared. They must be challenged with many difficulties in their job finding, leading a stable life, renting a house, receiving Japanese language education, and so on. The project team is divided in three main groups. First is a team of researchers, ASEAN Industrial Human Resource Development Research Team, working with Takahashi-san of Hiroshima University for many years on the transfer of technology and technical personnel development in less developed and industrialized Asian countries. The other is the ASEAN Local Researchers Team, cooperating with various partner universities including Thammasat University in Thailand, University Malaya in Malaysia, Hanoi University of Management and Technology in Vietnam, Yangon Institute of Technology in Myanmar, and many other technical universities. The other one is the corporate team. Meijo University is located in Aichi Prefecture, so we are cooperating with various associations in the prefecture. I am also a director of ESD 21, thus we are building networks with corporations. Companies will host increasing number of foreign students and people with no experience living in Japan to join their companies going forward. So human resource development will become essential. It will be a real trial and error process for companies and individuals to do this on their own. Thus, your research and compilation of various cases will be a great learning materials for both corporates and people working in Japan. I'm very much looking forward to your output. Engineer, specialist in humanities, international services is a kind of status of residence. Many foreigners with expertise work in Japan with this status. There are many asylum seekers and refugees who have the background and expertise to be qualified for such status. But many of those are staying with a residential status of designated activities 6 months. From the company's point of view, the status of residence for engineer, specialist in humanities, international services will continue as long as the worker continues to work for the company. However, the asylum seekers are on residential status of designated activities of 6 months, and they do not know when the residential status could expire. Asylum applicants do not exactly know when their applications will be determined, which is problematic. And the approval rate is low. If the application is denied, the status of residence expires and the applicant is unable to work. Hiring companies are hesitant to take the risk, even if the refugees have the skill. As an organization supporting asylum seekers and refugees, we focus on providing legal support to those who should be recognized as refugees. If they are recognized, they will be granted 5 years of long-term residential status, as shown in the first chart. And of course, there are possibilities that they can return to their home countries and use their skills to build bridges between the two countries. On the other hand, refugees have nowhere to go. After granted a refugee status, the long-term resident, the status of residence would be renewed every 5 years. These are people who are very likely to stay in Japan for a long time. From a truly long-term perspective, I hope to help them settle in Japan while providing support from the early stages of their application for refugee status. I thought it was very good information for companies to know that very talented people are here in Japan and that they can work here stably as long as their status are recognized. I couldn't find it, but the file name of Hadano-san's presentation material was Refugees Living Close to Us. That was a PDF material you shared. I've never had such neighbor, never met one, and probably would never even imagine their condition. But I will hold my antenna up and learn more about the stories of these people. I think it would be good if more and more people know that there are people who can build win-win relationships with Japan, and that this can lead to employment opportunities. Thank you very much. Skill indicators are really difficult. In the case of automotive manufacturing, we have something called a skill map. This is generally applied to factory floor workers, and we are trying to apply it to engineers. For example, skill maps for the factory floor visualizes skills of engineers using circle and check marks on indicators, such as being able to perform something, follow a manual, teach others, and make further improvements, and so on. We are considering how to best apply it to engineers. But we can see to some extent that they can do the work they are in charge of, can teach others, create something new such as making improvements, and so forth. In the case of engineers, their specialties are so diverse that it will be very complicated to include their work content. So I would like to find various indicators as I proceed with the interviews. In the case of IT, there are various technologies and programming languages, and technologies are evolving rapidly day by day. Through interviews, I heard from many excellent engineers, especially foreign engineers, that they are learning new skills through the internet in their spare time. Because nowadays, It is not enough to raise the level of competence just by performing the programs given by the company. So I would like to formulate an indicator by measuring how much foreign human resources are spending their own time on learning new technologies and studying to elevate their skills. The fact that you mentioned automobile and IT is very interesting. I went to Kenya last month and saw many Japanese cars on the road, and there were many assumably unauthorized parts dealers. So I feel that Japanese automobile industry and engineering will be attractive work areas for foreigners.
とても外国の方にとって一つすごく魅力のあるエリアになってくるのかなっていうふうにも感じていますし、
IT is now a global standard, and even if there is a Japanese way of doing business, I think this is an industry where the barriers are relatively low. This industry takes in the state-of-the-art technologies in a global, common way, rather than the Japanese way. So it's very interesting to hear that you are focusing on these two industries.
されてるっていうのはすごく興味深いなと思いました。
This concludes the reporting and panel discussion. Thank you everybody for your participation.